Hey guys, and welcome back. So let's apply this in dops, and I'm going to create a geometry VOP. I'm going to connect this to the second input, and let's compute the length of vel and fit range that. And then we're gonna bind import the vorticity, and we're gonna fit range that as well. We'll start between 0 and 50, and this one we'll say between 1 and 20. And now we have a mask. I'm gonna add both of them, and I'm gonna clamp so it's always if it gets above 1, I'm gonna make sure it's always at 1, so I don't need values higher than that. And the last thing I wanted to add is, right now if we do this pardon me, so if we do this masking, it's gonna also drag the splash and everything happening. So it's gonna cause all these parts to slow down, and it's going to change the splash completely, and we don't want to do that. And the way we can localize this is by using the height information and only apply this drag to a specific area of the sim. And I'm going to use the Y position, so the height, and I'm going to fit range this. I'm going to fit range this between, so it happens below 0 a bit and above 0 a bit. I'm going to say minus 0.75 and 0.75. And I'm going to put down a ramp and mask the area so it's not white at the top. So let's go up. I'm gonna move this here. I'm gonna move this here. So something like this. So it's strongest in this area, and then it stops here and stops here. And so because we want it to be localized, we don't want this to affect everything. And let's go back to dops and implement the same thing. So vector to float, and fit range this between minus 7.5 and 0.75. And I'm gonna use a ramp. I'm gonna change it to a float ramp, and I'm gonna add this as well. Sorry, I'm not going to add this. I'm going to multiply it because whatever we're doing here, it's fine. I just want to make sure that it only happens in this region. So I'm going to multiply it by this, clamp it, and then I'm going to bind export this as a different attribute. I'm going to call it mask area. And let's tweak this to something like this. Something like this. We could maybe do this so the transition is not too hard. And that's pretty much it. We're gonna create a pop drag and say, sorry, not the group. I'm gonna use vex expression, and I'm gonna click here and say pass through, and this is gonna give me link to basically creates this for me. And then I'm gonna say air resist, multiply that by this attribute. Cool. Okay, let's take a look at one more thing. And when we look at the sim here, you can see that everything happening at the beginning is great. And I don't think we should drag any of this. I don't think we should be changing any of that using the drag. We wanted to get activated on the second splash. So basically from this frame onward, we want the drag to be turned on, and we can do that by animating the air resistance. And I'm gonna set it to 0, and let's see, I'm gonna copy the values. So here, this is the area where we want the splash to start getting dragged. It's the second splash. So that's the second splash. So we'll start at frame 120. And then set it to something really high here. And obviously we have to do wedges to test what works best, but that's pretty much the idea. We want to isolate specific area of the sim and then apply a drag onto them. And while we're doing this drag, we also would like to add another global drag, and this is something that we always do. So drag, pop drag, and this is going to be applied to everything. We'll use a small values, global drag. Sorry, something is happening with the keyboard. Drag. And we also want to add something similar to what we did in week 2 with the splash. We want to drag the droplets only. So let's create another pop drag. I'm gonna set this to something a bit higher, like 1.5. And I'm gonna say add droplet is higher than 0.35, and we have to make sure that detect droplet is on. Cool. And that's pretty much it for the drag. We're gonna take a look at some wedges in the next video. Thank you guys for